Welcome everyone. It's gonna be like my trial run for DDR4 DRAM tuning and overclocking benchmarks. So I made most of the data that I'll get to later a while back. Finally got some time, decided to make a video about it. We're gonna focus on DDR4. It's been around since 2014. It's already fading away. Best of the best is already out, being taken over. It's gonna be succeeded by DDR5, which has been around since July 2020. It's first offered to consumers with Alder Lake, commercially of course, and that came out in November 4th, 2021. It's from Intel. Intel is one of the main CPU producers with x86, and the other one would be AMD. My rig is an AMD Ryzen 2600, it's really old, from late 2018. B450 Tomahawk from MSI. Main focus of the show is going to be the Corsair Vengeance LPX DDR4 3000 CL16 8x2. Got 16 gigabytes total. Sandisk Ultra 256 gigabyte SSD. I have a Western Digital hard drive as well. Seasonic SnowSilent Platinum 650 watt power supply. Vega 56 Pulse from Sapphire. It's an AMD Radeon card, and that's my GPU. Windows 10. So the data that I'll present is from 2021 December, where I was running DDR4 3000 CL14 16 16 16-33, and it's unstable. I don't use it anymore. Initially when I started using it, it was like blue screening monthly, then it slowly got worse, like bi-weekly, weekly, every other day. Eventually it was happening almost on a daily basis, and that was when I said enough. So eventually I settled on what I'm running now. DDR4 3066 CL16 16 18 18 28 46. And the reason why I have to do this is a stable timing. It's more or less in spec. The CL16 I think was probably one of the main reasons why I was crashing so often. I bought all this stuff around the late 2018 for a build. I had to do it, and DRAM that I bought, it was near the tail end of a supply shortage, so it was highly likely that Corsair had a bunch of those trash chips that they put on their cheapest modules. Unfortunately for me, I bought them at $135, although it was much lower to the peak. I think the peak it was selling for like $200 something, and then a year later they sold for almost half price. I think they were selling for like $65. Like, yeah, I got screwed over. You know, what are you gonna do? I needed to build a computer then. No choice to succeed a really old laptop that I was using. So I pretty much have trashed DRAM. It is what it is. It's old. My CPU has been running for almost 5 years, like 4.25 technically. It's more or less done. The DRAM is probably should be okay. I don't think it's degraded, but CPU's memory controller is probably getting old at this point. I don't know who to blame, but I'm gonna blame the DRAM because it's either that or the CPU. But anyways, yeah, garbage DRAM. So you'll see, I'll pull up, this is what I bought. This is what this packaging would look like. The Vengeance LPX from Corsair. And I'm gonna just do a quick summary over this stuff. It's gonna be pretty quick. A lot of numbers. So starting off the test suite, I used Mozilla Firefox and Edge. Two main apps I think is fairly common. I do not use Google Chrome. I will never use Google Chrome. Google Chrome is cancer. And then I have FM 2021, 2020. Those are the games I happen to play a lot back in 2021. GTA 5, Halo, MCC. They're pretty popular still, so I decided to throw those in there since I had them on the hard drive, and all the games are on the hard drive. So for the startup times, Mozilla Firefox, it averaged around 1.8 seconds, median 1.79, pretty close. The average is representative of the data, and the standard deviation was 0.15, so very low, which is good. The data is nicely compacted and representative. Microsoft Edge, 1.87 seconds, not very far behind. Mozilla Firefox is slightly slower. A median 1.765. We can see that there are some significant outliers in Microsoft Edge, so hit or miss for that application with a 0.4299 standard deviation. So the data is fairly close for the most part. And then next up, Football Manager 2021, a premier football simulating 40 seconds more or less across the board, average 40.472, median a little under 40 2.5 seconds. And standard deviation 0.22. Nothing amazing, although game-wise, it's pretty cool that we got a big upgrade for players of FM 2020 that averaged around 51 seconds boot up. All data is representative, median 51, and standard deviation 0.2739. GTA 5 here loads up around 48.9 seconds, median 47.9, standard deviation 3.6. So we do see a little bit more outliers, bigger outliers, because first load up, it does eat up a lot more time. And then we have Halo Master Chief Collection, average 33.86, median 33.145, and standard deviation of 2.29. All the data checks out for me. Move on to the next setting. So this is the base setting that I had, DDR4 3000. This time we're going to move on to DDR4 3000 with XMP enabled. With XMP enabled, we see a little bit improvement in the Mozilla Firefox performance, 1.7. Median checks out pretty close. Standard deviation is very low, which is good. Then we have Microsoft Edge, 1.836 average, median 1.77. Standard deviation is very low. Pretty much everything is more or less the same. Some slight regressions here and there, but it's the same. FM 2021, 41 seconds. FM 2020, 52 seconds. GTA 5, 47 seconds. And Halo MCC, 33 seconds average. Moving on to 3000 primary timings. Manually tuned primary timings only. We have slight improvements, not much once again. Some regressions in performance, which is not good. More or less, it's fairly close. We have 1.72 seconds for the Mozilla Firefox. Edge is 1.9 seconds. 41 seconds for FM 2021. FM 22 is around 52 seconds. GTA 5, 47.6 seconds. Halo MCC, 33 seconds. So we move on to the last one, which is probably the most important one. 3000 once again, but I tuned both primary and secondary timings. And this is where we see a fair amount of improvement where there is change, but once again, for the games, there's not really much change. I probably should have explained the trial running and the testing. So pretty much round one, I run 10 tests, restart the computer, run another 10 tests. These are all consecutive. Might be representative, might not be representative of people's daily use cases, but I think this is as close as I can get. So jump to the summary. DDR4 3000, no XMP, DDR4 3000 XMP enabled. Then I have DDR4 3000 primary timings only, XMP not enabled, and then the primary and secondary timings tuned manually with no XMP. So we compare the bland 3000 versus 3000 XMP, we see improvements with Mozilla Firefox. We get 5.85% improvement in load up times. Of course, these apps are also on SSD, so your mileage may vary if you use hard drive or an NVMe, which I do not use. I do not use an NVMe. It's a SATA SSD. Then we see a 1.63% improvement with Microsoft Edge. Pretty negligible. FM 2021, we have a regression in performance, so 1.22% slower. Similar with 2020, 1.92%. And then we have GTA 5, 2.52% faster with XMP enabled. Halo MCC similar as well, 2.11%. Of course, compare horizontally these numbers. These percentages do not compare. You cannot compare top down, only across, please. And then for XMP versus no XMP primary timings only, we see a lot of regression, although it's statistically insignificant except for the Microsoft Edge, where we do see some pretty bad numbers here. Negative 4.66%. And then the other ones is pretty negligible, pretty close to 0%, so you could pretty much say it's a wash. I don't think tuning just primary is good enough. At least this shows. So now we compare 3000 primary timings, no XMP, versus tuning both primary and secondary timings. You get significant boost in performance in Microsoft Edge because of how awful the performance was primary only. So you get 11.56% improvement in startup times, which is a big deal. But then since we're talking about 0.2 seconds, is that a big deal? to an average user, maybe, maybe not. If you do use Microsoft Edge daily, I guess you get to save some time over the course of a year. I don't even know if people care about that, to be honest. You're only saving 0.2 seconds, but for the scientific reason of testing, you could say yes, 11% is a big difference. Firefox is only around 3%, so not exactly, mind-blowing performance improvement. Once again, Football Manager, very negligible differences, even slight performance regression in FM 2020, but doesn't matter. We're talking about 0.2 seconds once again, so maybe not. For most people, I don't think they would care. Then we have GTA 5, 0.63 seconds. Raw numbers, 0.3 seconds. And then for a Halo MCC, no difference. Having trash RAM, tuning helps, at least in terms of me using the computer. My subjective opinion, it did feel faster when I ran it with unstable timings. It's snappier, it was much snappier. But like I said, even with these numbers, is the slight snappiness for the instability that great? And the answer is no. So this pretty much wraps it up. Tell me what you think in the comments. My next video, I'll be using Micron E-die. The numbers I'll be posting with my benchmarking rig coming up. Data you're looking at right now, it was from Hynix dies. It was SK Hynix. I didn't care to check what type of die it was. It performs like garbage. What can you do, right? Thank you for watching. I'll be back next time with some banger benchmarks. Thank you for watching once again. Signing off.